So it's pretty hard at this time of year to forget that Christians everywhere are celebrating Christmas, the feast of the Incarnation, the absolute becoming one with the phenomenal world. And in some ways, this is a holiday for anybody on a spiritual path that particularly has a contemplative dimension to it, because it's this non-dualistic joining between the ground of our being, the absolute, God, if you will, and every corner of reality, every part of reality. No part of the everyday life that we have is excluded. In Zen, we call it embodiment. But for the people on the inner journey that includes a contemplative practice, this embodiment, this incarnation, is not a unique experience. It's not the exception, it's the rule that all of us, particularly when we look at it from a Zen perspective, enter this very radical unity with the Absolute. So, in some ways, think about the power of it. If somebody came up to you and said, I'm God, the first thought would be, where's the nearest emergency room? This person needs psychiatric care. But it's that radical. It's that radical as actually believing that there is no separation between us and the Absolute. In medieval times, when the mystics in the Catholic tradition came up against this, more often than not even the church that proclaimed this could tolerate it. These people were generally burnt at the stake. So the problem is the nuance was missed. The culture could not bear it. Meister Eckhart would say something like, we're not God, but we're not different than God. And we've heard that recently in our studies together when Tozan says, you are not it, it is you. But we're still talking about this incredibly radical reality that there is no separation in the reality of things between us and the Absolute. So, as we know, to move into that reality just doesn't happen overnight. There's a long journey. It may take a lifetime. We get glimpses of it here and there. This is a journey that leads us to this place where we become the embodiment. It's kind of beautifully portrayed in the ox herd pictures that every one of you hopefully know about. And it's this non-dualistic relationship to the Absolute, where which is represented by the ox. That first is the person in the ox herding pictures first becomes aware of. Then he sees tracks. Then after the tracks, he is following him. And he tries to capture it, tame it. And then after that, he becomes one. A great pictorial presentation of this journey of, in some ways, getting a glimpse of the absolute until the absolute becomes one with us. It's pretty daunting, but it doesn't end there. It might take us a lifetime to get there, but there's more. The final ox herding picture talks about the next step, the last step. And it portrays this, usually a young-ish person who is going into town with his gourd of perhaps water on his stick on his shoulder, covered in dust and mud. And he shows up, and that's the language they use in the description of it. He shows up at the drinking places. Maybe not the best of reality. And he shows up at the fish stalls, which is everyday commerce. He shows up to awaken people to their Buddhahood. And then the very lovely description here is, with bare chest and unshod feet, he walks into the market, daubed with dirt and smeared with ashes. Laughing fills his face. Without using mystic arts or divine powers, he makes withered trees at once burst into flower. So, yes, there's this journey towards becoming one as much as we can with the Absolute. And it takes time, it takes effort, it takes patience, it takes consistency. But even that isn't enough. It's to move to another place where we are connected with all reality in a non-dual way, where we're not bringing in some magical arts or skills, but that we just show up, and there's no subject or object. So we could get discouraged, but Dogen reminds us, don't get caught up in these linear paths, because every single step is present in every single step. So practically, we're being asked to move even beyond compassion. You know, the Bodhisattva vow, to move out, to bring awakening. But as I was saying, that's not enough. And I think the word love might be a little bit better here. Compassion has a little bit of a subject-object relationship. But I think we're being invited to engage in loving every part of our life, ourself, and in seeing this, trying to move into love, to surrender to love as a path, as well as a destination. Surrender into it when the going is hard. Loving every part of that as much as we can. When we find ourselves in work situations, relation situations, political, cultural situations, to somehow surrender to love and to follow love, become love. So in the morning when you look in the mirror, don't be afraid to own. You are the Absolute. You are the Absolute. And then just forget it. Forget it by being love incarnate, love present, love just as it is.